Welcome to Tech at Lunch, the podcast that satisfies your hunger for all things tech while you enjoy your midday meal. So grab your sandwich, tune in, and let's dig in. Hello, I'm Nick.
Hello, I'm Ed.
And, this week, you notice a little bit more of an echo and you don't hear the sound of a 3D printer in the background. We are actually on the road. We're taking the Tech at Lunch on the road, and what that is, you've heard me and John do it before, me and Champ. We did it when we were we took the podcast on the road. We went and did Rapid TCT 2023. You saw our last episode last week that said, hey, we're going to SOUTHTEC. And guess what, y'all? We're here. We walked in this morning, got all of our stuff, met with the wonderful people with SME, met up with Whitney upstairs at the convention center and, discussed their day, which actually reminds me, but actually while I'm going on to this, because I have another piece of paper I have to grab I forgot about. Because there was a huge announcement made today that we kind of want to touch on. But what this is a day one Hotwash. What we like to do is with these is kind of talk about, what we saw, what we, kind of got to put our hands on and, kind of see some interesting things, that are what SOUTHTEC is. And to give you a background on SOUTHTEC, I guess we can try to put this in the best terms we possibly can. It is an advanced manufacturing show. It's a lot of robotics. It's a lot of CAD and CAM software, computer-aided modeling and computer-aided drafting, and it's a lot of, I guess you could say, it's a lot of like CNC and not like our usual additive manufacturing. It's a lot of subtractive manufacturing, and then we start getting into the wonderful world of flow jets and water jet machines and stuff like that. And, for us, it was our first time really dealing with those things. But, I'm going to, send it over to Ed, because what are your initial thoughts on, when we first got there, we were upstairs, talking to Whitney. And we walked out and we kind of looked over the balcony. You could see the entire show floor. What was your initial reaction of what is SOUTHTEC?
Yeah. Well, initially, like I said, I knew that we would be encountering robotics. We knew that we would also be will be present for an announcement for some SME initiatives that they're working on. And then I have some experience with subtractive, so CNC processes and so forth. So I've seen some of these processes. Now, some processes that I've seen, they've advanced because we did see something that was a little bit mind-blowing. We'll get into that a little bit later in the podcast. But initially, I thought, hey, this is the way forward for advanced manufacturing, when we're talking in reference to Industry 4.0, and I would even say Industry 5.0 when we're talking about augmented manufacturing. So, it was a really, really good representation of what reality is now in manufacturing, where we're going forward.
That makes sense. I could say that, probably when I went in there, I didn't know what to expect. My background doesn't evolve around a lot of, CNC, CAD, okay, CAM, not so much. But it kind of made me realize that I need to start digging deeper into, some of these ideas and ideals. I know kind of about, like tool pathing and stuff like that. When it comes down to CNCs and, what you're trying to deal with G-code and CAM modeling. But it's kind of the the multifaceted layers of it, the different companies and stuff like that. I think really today we found some things out there that kind of blew our minds and kind of made it a little bit more interesting. And for example, it's like the fact that we really weren't too, I guess you'd say, adjusted to we've heard of water jets before, but sitting down and really talking to the guys from Flow, we spent a lot of time with those guys and got to learn a lot about what is water jetting. What and stuff like that. You see it all the time, water jet TV, the YouTube channels and stuff like that. But really getting there up close to one of them, you really notice the size of the darn thing. The size of a water jet is absolutely amazing. But first impressions when we walked over the rail, kind of looked over, took a picture, and actually turned around and we actually posted a quick YouTube short and let everybody know that we were on site. Is that it was kind of what I expected. It was, the guys are there, the future's there. Everybody is going to, I guess you could say, run with what's going on, and they're going to, pretty much, run what they brung, as far as, all of the other, fun stuff. And you can tell that, there was a lot of expensive machinery in the room. It's a lot bigger than when we went to Rapid. A little noisier than Rapid. Some conversations in some of the areas was a little tough because you're near the running machines and stuff like that. But you know what? That's the fun part about manufacturing. Is is taking that and kind of going to next generation of it. But with that, what we're going to do is we're actually going to I'm going to jump into the media advisory that we received and the announcement that was made by SME and their leadership. If you don't know who SME is, SME is a nonprofit organization that works in the advancement of manufacturing. They are the guys who are behind the SOUTHTEC, HOUSETEC. Those guys, they're trying to accelerate new technology. That's who they are. It's a national committee, national nonprofit committed to the advancement of manufacturing technology and the adoption of it into the industry. And I'm going to tell you, if you have a chance to talk to the CEO of SME, he is probably one of the nicest individuals we've ever had a chance to meet. And he loves his job. He wants to talk to the people who are part of the organization, who are there to celebrate what the organization is about. But with that, and who that is Robert Bob Wilg. He is the executive director and CEO of SME. But looking at the media announcement, the media announcement is that they are pushing their initiative of the manufacturing imperative. It's a workforce development pipeline which launched this fall and has an estimated impact of $6 billion. It's a 3-year program with a goal to attract 1,000 individuals at each of the initial 25 participating community and technical colleges annually, guys. The program will result in 75,000 or more qualified workers in the pursuit of manufacturing careers. And one of the schools that we had the opportunity to talking to is Greenville Technical College, and that we will hear from them hopefully at a later date, where we'll do an interview with those guys as they are part of this pipeline project or pipeline challenge. Okay, I know that you had your initial reaction to this announcement, because I don't think I made you aware of what that announcement was until we got on site. I hit my email probably, say, 24, 48 hours before what was going on. What'd you think?
Well, like I said, I mean, for me, I already knew about the shortage.
Yeah.
I knew that 80% of the individuals that were in the controls and automation were about to be at the age of retirement, and I knew that the interest for today's generation was a lot less as opposed to kids that were, maybe in high school or vocational centers, which one of the travesties that happened in our educational system is we departed from a vocational system that actually exposed the kids to some of these things. So I knew that there's a shortage. They said roughly about 2 million, but I think it's more than that. If you look at most kids haven't been exposed to the type of concepts we're talking about. I think really the big thing to look at is not that we have 75,000 that are proposed. I think the real issue to look at is that we don't have enough people that has been in the industry enough that's actually taking the knowledge that they've gained over the years of experience and actually re-putting that back into the pipeline. Or actually, like myself, my passion is to actually take the knowledge that I have and actually take and talk to some of the kids that are actually interested in going into these fields. Hopefully that'll happen soon with Greenville Technical College, and we can actually give them some insight to, hey, these are the things you need to know. Here are the tools you need to equip yourself with if you want to be successful in this field. And this field is very lucrative. I mean, this is a very this is a good opportunity for anybody. I would do an analogy as not only is it like panning for gold, you're panning for gold and you know exactly where to pan for the gold.
Just giveaway treat.
Yeah, but for me, I mean, the big thing with me, I am, very grateful that we have an organization that's, identifying 25 community colleges or universities or organizations that have the right criteria.
Right.
That qualify them to be in a partnership with them. Because this is not a one and done. This is a partnership to allow American manufacturing to have the resources they need to sustain themselves.
Right.
And that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about manufacturing back in America where we have the resources in place, got people interested, got kids that can fill the pipeline, and these individuals will be the people that'll get us to Industry 4.0. When we're talking about what you're doing with your data and how your data can be the magic 8 ball to explain to you or give you the foresight to look ahead that you can see, hey, here's where I can leverage my company to be successful.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go to like Industry 5.0 when we're talking about automotive augmentation. We're taking it even further. So these are the individuals I see taking manufacturing to the next level.
And, we do talk about bringing, manufacturing back here to the U.S. However, and I'll say this, I know some of our listeners are not in the U.S. You're very well aware of that. The one thing is y'all, who are not in the U.S., push for something like this to happen in your own country. Push for this. We got people that are, listening to us from Poland. I saw that the other day. There's that big announcement that the Mercedes-Benz organization is opening up a vans plant to build the next generation van, actually in right outside of Poland. So you got these careers coming. Same thing if you're in any other country in the world. You have these type of careers in your country that you can definitely be part of. You can push for this stuff. If anything, you can, if you're able to get an educational grant to come to the U.S. and actually learn at one of these 25 participating organizations, take that information back, and help train the next generation. of machinists and manufacturing personnel in your home country, or contribute to the manufacturing in the U.S. by working with one of the 25 participating universities or technical colleges. Once we get that full list, we'll publish that full list on the blog, and then we'll make sure that everybody's aware of that. We have the entire thing videotaped, the entire announcement, and then we'll kind of go through and break that down a little bit, to kind of do an analysis video on the entire announcement, and then we'll go ahead and post that on the Vulcanar Technology Solutions YouTube page. But we want to make sure everybody understands that just because this is here in the United States, that does not mean it can't be shared elsewhere.
Yeah. Like I said, with me, I think it's more about we have a pipeline that we're not accessing. So yeah. I don't have, like I said, I don't see where, not limiting anybody, but I think generally what SME is talking about, if we're just talking about SME, like we're not trying to, at the moment, it's talking about what SME is doing in the States. And at the moment, SME at the moment is trying to concentrate on the pipeline we have. Well, it's not a North America thing. It's more of a, hey, we have students. We need to concentrate on those students. I don't even think it's a border thing. I just think they're trying to concentrate on students. Yeah. So I think like the real big message that SME is saying is that we want to invest in the educational system we have here. And it doesn't, like you said, I'm sure that the same concept can apply to another country doing the same thing in their areas, because this is a global thing as far as a shortage of individuals that's going into the manufacturing environment.
Correct.
So I would just like to add that, like I said, for SME, I think it's really just dedicated to trying to emphasize educating people in our educational systems that hey, there are options out there that can make you really successful as far as taking care of yourself or family, if that's what you indeed have at the time. I think the big takeaway for me is more about how do we get kids interested in going into manufacturing. Some people say we can use military personnel. That's great too, but for me, I would like to do the same thing we used to do with vocational systems that we got rid of. Those vocational systems gave people the skills that were, hey, if I'm not going to go to a higher learning institution, I can at least go to a place that's non-credited and get the skills I need to actually go into the field and earn money instantly. Say HVAC, or say, hey, I wanted to be a plumber, or say, hey, I wanted, to go into, welding. Where now, it's the same concept. We're just saying, hey, there are options to being a welder. There's option to being HVAC, and there's nothing wrong with those. Those are, really needed. Carpenters. We need those. We need that trade. We need those guys to bring that technology expertise to the market. But we also need people that can do, things like CAM and CAD. We need people that can do things like they can do additive and subtractive manufacturing. In particular, CNC, processes. Maybe even get kids interested in doing laser processes. Maybe we can get kids into, the virtual environment or augmentation.
Yep, simulation.
Yeah, so augmented manufacturing where we're in a virtual environment and hey, say maybe I do not have the resources to have a physical person somewhere, but I can use some augmentation technology to at least give someone else back home or somewhere else at a company, or even if it's say it's virtual in a virtual environment, or say it's remote, that person can actually get a grasp of what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. So I think the big thing is to take, just to get back to SME, I think with SME, I think the big thing that I took from that is that we're really making a big push to invest in the future of our education systems, to introduce some of these technologies. That's mm-hmm. really the big thing. And that's really what I took from SME.
Yeah. And I don't think we ever went away from the technical college, or the vocational.
Well, the vocational in high school.
That definitely
that's what I mean. Yeah.
But I don't think we got away from pushing it. I think we said, okay, if you want to go to weld school, let's go to weld school. Or if you want to go to automotive, you go to UTI or MMA or one of those guys.
Well, here's the problem with that. Here's the problem. I just want to reiterate. Here's the problem with that. When I was in high school, I went to a vocational school. I learned drafting. I had the opportunity to learn automotive free. You do not get that from these other universities. What happened to people that do not have the resources to do that? That's the issue with getting rid of vocational systems in an educational system that's a public system. That's really the problem.
But I think the thing is we pushed it. We pushed the higher education side of the house a little bit more at one point, because the problem is we listened to industry, and industry wasn't correct.
And that's incorrect too, Nick. I'm telling you,
But hold on.
The 80% the people that went to 4-year colleges is totally different from vocational. They got rid of vocational because they said that they couldn't afford the cost. Vocational was always separate from people that went to higher level education. Yeah. And it had nothing to do with industry. It had to do with the schools couldn't afford to do it.
Yeah, we had it in Florida all the time. Yeah. We still do, auto shop and all that other stuff. But the thing is we followed industry a lot. When industry said, well, you have to have a bachelor's degree to do anything, that was wrong. That should never have been followed. It should have been, okay, let me invest more in my community college and the technical trade to, push us a little bit more. So we followed what industry was doing. Industry said, we need this, and everybody listened. The thing is the same people who are pushing that also push the fact that they wanted to do yearly tuition hikes. But, no one's batting an eye on that one. And this is coming from somebody who's going through a doctoral program, that went through the Marine Corps, learned a trade in the Marine Corps doing intel, and then worked my way through what I'm doing now. But, the thing is, it's here nor there. It's the fact that, they're pushing this. We're trying to go back to the technical college, mentality of, learn now, earn now, but also make it fun, make it worth your while. We need people who are passionate, and that's what that's going to breed. It's going to breed the passion again. Because right now, I can tell you, we don't have the passionate people in the workforce anymore. They're gone. And if they are the passionate people, they're like Ed. They're about 2 years away from retirement. He says that and chuckles pretty much at the same time over there. So we kind of get to the fun part about what we do with these hot washes. Is we kind of look at some of the places we were, some of the people we talked to, and kind of we kind of throw it in a kind of a question type of mentality. Okay, and if you could pick one company or one type of operation or something that we saw today that was not hardware specific, what would it be?
I mean, for me, it would have to be starting with solid cam, back to Phillips. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say back to Phillips, excuse me, Phillips, it is hardware, but it's a bunch of software in the background. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm saying it about Phillips did some collaboration with Solid Cam, yep. And they helped Solid Cam do some things. I think it was Greenwise. I'm sorry, Greenwise. Also did some collaboration. So we had 3 groups that worked together. But the cool thing about Philips, maybe this will blow your mind, maybe it won't, but Philips has a hybrid additive manufacturing process. They are doing additive manufacturing and subtractive manufacturing together. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with when we say additive, they're using a process where they're building up material. And when we say subtractive, they're using a process where they're taking away material. I thought that was, for me, the collaboration between those 3 groups was pretty encouraging, that we have companies that have different areas of technology focus working together. So for me, it was Philips. It had to be Philips. Working with, and also they work with Haas equipment.
I'd probably say for mine would be probably SolidCam. To be honest with you, they're like probably when it comes down to the biggest bang for the proverbial buck as far as software goes. Not a non-process software, I guess you could say, is SolidCam, because there's not very many things out there that where you run a CAM software that removes the heat from a piece of material. You can spin these end mills and cut into aluminum and stuff like that and stainless steel, and they're not hot. They're cold. They're cold to the touch. You can grab onto with your hands. You're not going to burn yourself like you would in regular CNC manufacturing. And it takes all the heat and throws it as the offcuts, the chunks. It's waste is now it's a outbound heat sink. Regenerative heat sink, if you want to say. I think that for them was the biggest bang for the buck. Now, what do you think about, say, hardware vendor? Who was that hardware vendor that kind of gave you the warm and fuzzy?
Well, it would have to be SolidCam, because actually it's the construction of the end tool that they're using. Mm-hmm. By having the end tool constructed in such a way, the geometry of the end tool allows the material to be dispersed away from the part.
Yeah.
So actually, there's some software involved, but really, if you look at SolidCam, yes, the package that they had to do the things in the software in the background, but the way that technology is working for me from a hardware perspective, you were able to engineer an end mill that took 80% of the heat and was able to disperse it as chips or swarf. 10% only went into the tool, and the other 10% went into the material. That's a physical design it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy that you were able to, which had to be software. You had to have software to engineer that technology. So Pareto works.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example. So for me, like I said, the biggest thing that impressed me today was SolidCam introduced us. Say, hey, go take a look at Philips.
Yep.
We took a look at Philips and
Greenwise,
and it was like, wow, that's cool. Like Greenwise is doing some really unique things.
They're using ceramics to cut titanium.
And like I said, Nick is correct about the software aspect of it. That is true. But if you think about the engineering that went into to be able to make an end mill that's able to disperse the chips, the swarf, whatever you want to use for that. But basically, the waste is dispersed away from the part. At the same time, it's extracting 80% of the heat. The other 10% is in the tool, and the other 10% is in the material. So what that means is you extend the life of the tool.
Yep.
Which means that you can actually mill more material. So yeah, to me, I think those were the biggest things I say that impressed me. I would say an honorary, real close second was Capture 3D from a software aspect.
Yeah, I think software they definitely have it.
Yeah.
Ease of use, I think to them is it. Mind you, we're gonna have a lot of these guys on the podcast with us, and we'll be able to ask a lot of questions of these guys. They're very knowledgeable. I'm telling you one thing: it's great when you meet companies that you nerd out with, and they're not afraid to go straight nerd style here.
Yeah.
And because they're laughing, joking around, talking about their equipment because they get excited about it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you get companies that are so excited about their equipment, we get excited about it. We start talking, giggling like a bunch of schoolgirls. That's what happened with SolidCam. They turned us on to their head manufacturer, which is off the stuff from Haas. Capture 3D we bumped into. We actually talked to them one time at Rapid. But we had a good opportunity to really talk to Alberto, the regional sales manager, for Capture 3D, which I didn't know Capture 3D was part of Zeiss. So, that's kind of a new invention. But I'd say for me, when I'm talking about like hardware, kind of some fun hardware stuff, that's where I'm going Philips. I'm going to go towards the hybrid system with Philips, with where we are doing metal AM, additive manufacturing on a Haas CNC machine, and then utilizing subtractive manufacturing in the Haas in-mill setup to remove the material that is not needed. Now you don't have to worry about thermocycling or any of that. It's not needed. Kind of a small little thing on Philips also is they were able to use, one thing I thought was pretty cool is they were able to use a cobot to unload and reload one of the Haas CNC machines. And I thought that was pretty cool, that they were able to figure that part out, work with that.
Which is becoming standard. Like cobots have been, I would say over the last 5 years, this is a standard process for machine tending. It only makes sense to do that, in my opinion. I mean, if we're just talking straight hardware, it has to be flow for me. Mm-hmm. If we're talking hardware, don't worry about the software. We're talking about the water jet application. That's probably, to me, the most impressive hardware application that I've seen. The other things, like I said, even for me, everybody has their flavor of what they like. Mm-hmm. But for me, like I said, even Philips, that is in hybrid. So it's software and it's hardware. Yep. Even if you look at SolidCam, it's hardware and it's software. Flow is hardware.
I was going to ask. I was going to ask this question because it's always fun when Ed learns something new. His eyes light up. He can't. It becomes like Santa. The twinkle in the eye kind of kicks in. What fun? What's one new thing that you came away with a new kind of, I guess you'd say like hidden love child.
Well, it was a few things. So I would have to say with Flow, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. The
way that they explained how they handled the depth of material they could handle.
2 feet.
Or as high as you could raise.
Right.
As high as I could go in Z. I'm
Your
like,
roof may have some
really?
problems.
But about 2 foot, I'm like, wow, you crazy?
Yeah.
Yes. And then the other thing is, the sheer power that they were able to use with water. They had some aggregate. They could use garnet. On some applications. Some applications don't have it. But basically, it's so powerful that if you concentrate at one spot, it could actually rupture the tank that the water resides in. It's crazy.
Mach 3.
And what was he talking about? 1 gallon of water per hour.
Yeah.
And the aggregate
It's
or
like
the
a pound.
garnet, about a pound an hour. Wow.
Yeah. At Mach 3. You're and me, I really didn't know too much about water jets until walking over to the flow booth.
Me neither. I think we both learned something today.
I watched them on YouTube. I watched them online. Oh, that's cool. I'll never get around to playing with one. Then you go over to these shows like, ooh, not gonna play with one.
Yeah.
And you're talking Mach 3. Mach 3 out of an orifice the size, what was it, 0.2 micron or something like that?
I believe so.
It's absolutely insane. you're only losing very, very little material when this is blasting through. But the thing is, there's no heat transfer.
Yep, it's a cold process.
Cold process. And the thing is, they said, yeah, when they run it through titaniums, you can cut titanium like butter.
Yep.
With this stuff, it sparks because of the garnet
Yep.
in it, but there's no heat.
And also, he did say that another interesting thing about it
It's
was
5-axis.
it was
What
a
the hell?
5-axis. Yes, that was the other pretty interesting thing. That's a 5-axis machine.
Yeah.
So like, was it 50? Was it 50 degrees?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 50 degrees. They could do cuts.
Yeah.
Oh no! I think we're mixing it up with the laser. What was it? I forgot what it was.
But it was 45.
It was so much that it could do on its axes, but but also the accuracy of the leveling.
Oh yeah.
It was 2 thou.
Yeah, 2 thou.
Is what
Front
they,
to back can only
what
be
they
off by 2
leveled
thou.
the machine, and I think it had about a 3-ton beam.
Yeah.
That was attached
It's like
to
3,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you think about it,
Yeah, 3,000 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 3,000 pounds.
you're talking, 2 mil. You can't see that with a naked eye that you're off like that.
And they had a level that was accurate to 2 thou
Right.
for leveling these machines.
Yeah, it's insane. These guys, man, they put a lot of time and effort behind that stuff. And, maybe eventually we might be able to get a hold of get Flo on the podcast with. We love it. Because they do some crazy things. If you watch some of the YouTube guys, they're running Waterjet TV, build stuff here. He runs a flow machine. Those guys are pretty good. Go look them up and talk to those guys. Those are some of the guys that'll blow your ever living mind. Mm-hmm. And they're pretty good about their service too, to what we found out. And we looked at the pumps.
Yeah.
That they had. The pump cool to the touch. It's pump while it's running.
Yep, and it was I think it was water over hydraulics.
Yeah, and they're using the hydraulic. They generate the Mach 3 pressure that water has to come out of that end mill for at that speed. It's absolutely nuts.
And I forgot, what did they say? The longest machine they had was about maybe roughly 50 feet.
Yeah, 50 feet.
Or somewhere around there.
Yeah. And it's like 50 by 50. It's a 50 foot wide by 50 foot long.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And they even cut glass.
Yeah, they cut the Gorilla Glass for your Samsung phones.
Yeah. There's an application for that.
Yes. They were telling us about
tempered glass was probably the only thing that they
can't do.
What they can't do is difficult to do because it can shatter if you don't compensate for how you deal with it. But tempered glass is probably the only limitation to the system.
Yeah, right. And the thing is, if you think about it, he was telling me about this. It's a 4 foot by 4 foot cube, 2 foot cube of titanium that one of their customers is milling or water jetting
for bearings
out of. But it's 2 feet thick of titanium.
Yeah.
Maybe Mach 3 it really is not that bad. Mm-hmm. We watch people on YouTube carving pumpkins with a water jet.
Yeah.
And build stuff here that he's sharpening pencils.
Yeah.
Out of all things. There's definitely some honorable mentions. The thing is I'll tell you this, some of the quality guys that were there today, at least that we got to talk to this time around. Capture 3D is one of them. Cross.
Yep.
Was another one that we had an opportunity to talk to, and I think he'll be on the podcast with us too. Eventually, he's in our hometown area. We can talk to him, and they do the quality goods.
We also talked to Teichmann.
Yep.
Electrox, and they do like lasers. Some of it is they do some customization to materials. They also are able to do some etching, some laser etching for different types of material. I think they even do some application when they do printing, like doing some special things, the golf balls and some other spherical things. So that was pretty interesting to talk to those guys and how their laser process work. And they basically have it's a fiber laser, so that was pretty interesting to learn some things about fiber lasers. You know, I've been exposed to a little bit of fiber lasers in the past, but it was interesting to see where it's evolved to, as far as how you can use it in different in other applications. So that was pretty cool.
And there was a couple, I guess you could say support functions there that we talked to today. We'll probably talk to more tomorrow. But the thing is, like, we talked to the guys from EAC today. They are some of the guys that you hear about doing the CAM software that's cloud-based that you can share between teams. And we'll have them on the podcast as well to talk about, kind of I think it's OwnCAD now or something like that. It's one of the Onshape. Onshape is the name of their product that they handle. And that's one of their bread and butters is they deal with cloud-based manufacturing solutions like that. And the other one was ECI. I think ECI. What do you think about ECI?
I thought it was pretty nifty, some of the things that they were trying to do.
Yeah,
and I think they were targeting a certain area of manufacturing. So that's pretty neat to see that they had some
that they carry
tools and systems in place. So I think that's pretty cool.
For me, I kind of walked by and I saw it and I realized, okay, cool, they're doing, some basic like SAP work. And then we really talked to them. It's like, okay, cool, you're printing job orders, barcodes, job completion documentation, and stuff like that. And you start realizing that you're rolling not just your SCADA into the system, but you're also rolling your ERP system into this system. You have everything at your fingertips. And they care about the guys who are small and medium-sized companies that can't afford SAP.
Well, that's actually the area they're targeting.
And so I think that's pretty cool. Our goal is to have them on the podcast as well, and get those guys talking to us and explain to you a little bit more about their product and stuff like that. And hopefully, if you have an organization that needs some of that software, you know who to reach out to. And the last one was last support function that we talked to was Gorilla Mill. Gorilla Mill, they actually make the end mill for they're machine agnostic, so they make the hardened end mills for some of these companies.
And they're based out of Milwaukee.
They're right out of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I know tomorrow may be a little bit kind of not as much running around. We don't have to go to the media advisory or anything like that tomorrow. It's kind of just our own pace tomorrow. I know we're going to try to meet up with the guys from Greenville Technical College and have a conversation with those guys. It's going to be a lot of getting involved with I think we're trying to do robots tomorrow a little bit, and like support cutting functions maybe, like some of the band saws,
maybe
ADM, those guys, and who knows, we may get into like fixtures. Maybe we might go talk to fixture guys because I don't think they get enough love.
Yeah.
You're making weld tables, you're making lockup tables. You may not get as much love as the other guy does.
Well, one other thing I would like to say, just to say closing, basically, we did talk to Fanuc, and Fanuc does have some solution with cobots from their actual line of robots. I think they're CR and CRX platform robots, but they're using with legacy systems, so vertical mills and things like that. So it's some things that I'm really excited to see from Fanuc, far as from a collaborative manufacturing aspect for a small to I would say medium-sized corporation that's maybe doing some parts, say piecemeal parts for somebody, or maybe they're doing some support work for our military. So it's pretty interesting to see some of that stuff.
And the best part is with that is the reuse function, and that's something that we kind of hit on today. Is Fanuc, they came up with the ability to reuse some of their older end mills and stuff like that they can play with. And the same thing with Phillips. Phillips, you may think that crud, they went to a hybrid system, or they're going to, or they have a hybrid system. I can't get that. If you have a older Haas CNC machine, have no fear they can retrofit it. Run these things. So,
actually, he said if you have it doesn't have to exactly be Haas,
Yeah.
although Haas is what
It's
they
preferred.
normally generate. But they can also actually integrate that with other systems.
Okay.
It depends on what capabilities that system has.
Right.
It depends on how far its legacy, as opposed to,
Right.
say, 2 to 4 years, that it was released.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get the unit that comes with it, because the unit does all the additive,
Right.
and you still will basically just do your subtractive manufacturing process.
Right. And the thing is that's something to save you money. If you have an older, we'll say Haas, just to be kind of with those guys, and then you can easily go to Phillips and Haas and talk to them about the hybrid system, and see if it can be retrofitted. Now, if you have an end mill, old rotary end mill, sitting in the office that you don't want to get rid of, but you don't have the money to replace it, is talk to Fanuc. Fanuc's got their collaborative system there. I think it replaced 4 parts, and that was it. And they were able to get up and running, and it is 100% controlled with, like you said, the cobot attached to it. Guys, you have companies out there who are trying to make this dummy proof, and make this really simple, and make it actually more approachable. Because that's the one thing I think we've all had problems with over the years is subtractive, manufacturing wasn't as approachable as like additive manufacturing was for a while. Your desktop 3D printers and stuff like that. And it's not as, I guess you can say, as kind of approachable as like welding and stuff like that, where you got TIG and all the other stuff. But now you have companies out there who are like, hey, we have if you have your old grandfather's hand crank mill, well, you can use it. Or if you bought if you're a startup company and you bought a $30,000 Haas machine, on eBay, and you had it installed, we can retrofit it to a better system to give you more functionality and more ability to do this.
Right. And one thing I would like to add with the setup that they had with Phillips, in particular, you can either use a spool or you use a drum. So I think the spool was about 40 hours, but I think the drum was a lot longer than that.
Yeah, it's like 50. It's like a couple hundred hours on that.
Yeah. And then, like I said, the thing with CNC, as opposed to like a vertical mill, is still a manual process. Even if you add servos and stuff, it's still manual in nature. Because someone still has to do setup, so it's still setup.
Yeah.
When you go on a CNC machine, once you set up profiles, you can use those profiles, and it's basically a push of a button.
Yeah.
So to be able to take, say, with COVID, we had a issue with stress on the labor market. So a cobot is something that can alleviate the things with the problems with labor markets, especially with somebody that's established and they can't get people to attend the machine.
Right.
So a cobot can be a pick and place, but it can also be a machine tending application also. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you start thinking about a cobot or a collaborative environment. And then the other thing, like I said, if you already have some type of CNC equipment, you can purchase these heads that are additive, and that can maybe save you some money, as far as you don't have to spend as much on material or wait to get material in, because you can actually build up those things and then machine those parts. So that's something to consider.
Yeah. And, I think that also, if you get a chance to make it to the show when you're, do it. And we'll definitely do a kind of a full wrap up, when we see Champ again next week. But the one thing I want to do is we can go ahead and I want to say thank you, to everybody who's listening. Y'all are making this worth it. We're having fun. We're out here talking to people. We're out here learning. And, we take one step at a time, one day at a time to see where we're going. And checking the stats today, I've kind of checked it a few times because some people have been asking. So we are at, it looks like, because we had 2 more that was yesterday. We haven't hit today's yet. So 1980, we're at 1,980 all-time downloads. Everybody asks how many people do we have subscribed. I said, I don't know. I don't care. I care about the fact that we're reaching people. They want to download it. They want to listen. They want to talk to it. They want to hear what we're talking about. So I want to let you know that there is some bigger things coming down the pipe. A lot of conversation with other companies. Getting these guys involved. You're going to hear from the engineers who helped build this stuff, and you'll be able to get those questions. We'll probably publish this. We'll probably let you know in the podcast before we do the interview. And if you have any questions, send us the questions. We'll be able to get that answered for you. If you're on the fence about if you're going to buy a piece of equipment or something like that, let us know, and we'll be able to get that to the actual correct representative that has to go to. But I want to say thank you. If it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't be doing this. Go take a look at Printed Heritage. Go take a look at the blog. We're going to be adding more and more stuff there. We want y'all to, enjoy it, be part of this movement, be part of the partnerships and stuff that you see out there. Go out there, learn something, have a little bit of fun with it, and I'll turn it over to Ed.
So I would like to say this: it's sometimes it's not the volume of the voice, because if you amplify the voice reaches a lot further. So for me, if it's 20 from 2,000, or if it's 20 from 20,000, to me that's not the motivation for myself. The motivation when we started is when me and Nick sat down. We always challenge each other. That's why we're best friends, because we're able to sit down and challenge each other, and it makes us both better. But for me, the biggest thing is to be able to talk about technology and to share some of the experiences that we have with our audience. Definitely. And so we would like to say we appreciate all of the support. I would greatly appreciate if you have any questions to please hit us up on the email, or if you guys think of it's a better way for us to communicate. If you like Twitter better, how about we do a poll? Maybe we'll try to set up a poll and you guys tell us what do you like to use? You like to use Twitter? You like to use Facebook? What social media platform are you? What's your go-to social media platform? And maybe we can cater to those things. And if there are any suppliers or innovators out there that are interested in contacting us and sitting down and have a conversation, we can do everything remotely, or we can come to you guys. We're on the East Coast, so we're pretty flexible. We're going anywhere on the East Coast, and we can make arrangements for going anywhere else. But like I said, we do appreciate it, and thank you guys for listening.
All right, y'all. We appreciate it. And y'all have a good one. Keep learning something new, and teach somebody else something. So y'all have a good one. All right, bye.
That's all for this episode of Tech at Lunch. Thanks for tuning in and joining us for this tech-filled lunch break. We hope you enjoy the show, and don't forget to subscribe on all channels. And also, you can find us on YouTube under Vulcanar Technology Solutions. And join us for our next episode, which gets published every Wednesday at 8 a.m. All right, y'all. Have a good one. See you later.